Hello and welcome. We're on the fifth book of the Roy Gray series, and it's called That Tomorrow. Now, That Tomorrow is another themed book, and this is another dark one. It is centered around the terrifying reality of organ harvesting, illegal organ harvesting, and well, yeah, it's really not a pleasant topic, and the book itself is rather grim, as we'll see in the deep dive. All in all, it tells the tale of a small family of the Becketts. Lynn Beckett, a mother of Caitlin Beckett, a 15-year-old girl, and the daughter has liver failure. She needs a liver transplant. The NHS waiting list is way too long and unpredictable. Things change in the blink of an eye, and both the mother and daughter grow ever desperate. As the story progresses, we learn that there's help, but it's not a legal one. On the dark web, they find people who are able to put them in touch with individuals who can get organs to save life. But at what cost? That's what the book's going to dwell on. And meanwhile, Roy Grace is called to the Shoreham Harbour, where a dredging ship, a dredger out in the channel, found a dead body. And another body turns up rather soon. And both bodies are linked by the fact that they both have the organs removed. Now, without going deeper into the story, as the deep dive is going to deal with that, I'd like to speak a little bit about the book itself, what we know about how the book has become. First of all, let's hear what the author Peter James has to say about it.
And the idea for the book came to me a few years ago when I was sitting next to a documentary filmmaker called Kate Blewett at a dinner. And she turned to me, she said, "Do you know how much you're worth in body parts?" And I said, "The way I've abused my body, probably not a huge amount." And she,
You really want to know?
yeah, well, you do want to know. Because healthy young guy, you're worth a good €1 million plus on the international black market. I could get about 350, 400,000 euros for your heart, lungs, about the same for your liver, about 50,000 for each kidney.
I think I'll keep me to myself.
This is the problem, and what's happened is that in the last 20 years, as transplant techniques have got better and better, the supply of organ donors has gone down. And it's a really big irony that what's caused the supply of organ donors to go down is that more people wear seatbelts in cars.
If you're interested in the full video, which is like 3/4 of an hour, it was given in Germany back in 2010. You can search on YouTube as booklove.de interview 2010. YouTube shall find it. But you'll find the link down there in the description. Before the book was written, Peter James, as usual, did his research, really deep research.
I think the scariest bit of research I did was learning about police diving. I always used to think to be a police diver, was probably a nice thing to have. You got to swim around and flip, with your fins on, look at fish, and occasionally pull up a dead body. And I discovered the reality is something different, because in the book, early on in the story, a dredger, I don't know if you know the word in German, it's a boat that digs up the bottom of the sea. Dredger pulls up a dead body, and it's a teenager, and when they do the post-mortem, they find it's missing all its vital organs. And Roy Grace decides that he should put a team of police divers out to sea and see what else they might find in that same area. So I spoke to the police dive team and I said, what would you do? And they said, what we do is we would scan the same area where the body was found. And if we see anything that looks like it might be a body, then we send a dive team down. And they said, would you like to come out with us? And I said, yeah, okay, thank you.
And actually, way before the book was written, he had written a script for HBO for an American TV series, but the script had never been produced, and the same idea comes in the form of this book, extended, and basically the way it's written, we can see that Peter James really gave it deep thought, the whole concept of the organ harvesting and the illegal black market that basically gets organs from individuals living in poorer countries, in the book's case in Eastern Europe, in Romania. And as usual, with all Peter James's works, the foundations of the books are real, and he builds the fiction on top of real life events that had taken place at one point in recent history. As we learn it from the Writers Magazine 2009 issue 95, Peter James talks about it in an interview, how disturbed he'd been when he did the research, and he mentions the script that he had written to HBO, and the whole concept of the organ harvesting is really disturbing. There's some statistics he mentions, of course, they're no good at all. The survival statistics of people needing an organ and to have a transplant, like officially, legally in hospitals, the survival chances are really slim, unfortunately. And if anywhere, that's where haves and have-nots are really divided by resources, obviously. Now, talking about the structure of the book, it again differs a little bit from the other four we discussed in the earlier episodes. This one is a slow building one. It doesn't really kick the door in as most of them do. This is a rather chunky one as well. clocks in at 535 pages. 534 to be exact. The 35th one is the acknowledgements. And the hardcover does. And the first couple of hundred pages, maybe 250 pages, it really just builds up the situation, introduces us to the whole world of organ harvesting on the illegal side and the legal side of the NHS, how it works. Obviously we have Roy Grace finding the bodies, and the investigation slowly kicks in, but it takes them a few hundred pages to actually start to connect the clues and realize what really is going on. But these pages are easily readable. It is, again, a very readable book. It is a slow burn in the beginning, but it is not a slow book. It keeps you going. It's just not too much action in it, because foundations need to be laid. And that's what this book does in the first, I don't know, couple of hundred pages maybe, even a bit longer. 324th page in the paperback version. In the hardback is the 266th page, where actually the Beckett family goes online on dark web to locate these people who might be able to help with the organ. So you can imagine the pacing of the book is not the usual fast action oriented one, but it is far from being boring. It is really intriguing, and it builds tension that is actually making the whole thing even more realistic. But not a word wasted, not a page, not a chapter is unjust in this work. Every single line needs to be told to make the story what it is. And halfway through the book, it starts to pick up speed, and suddenly it kicks in and the usual action-filled scenes will come up. As for the police procedural work in it, that is really detailed, as usual, in the early books especially, so there will be no shortage of learning how the police investigate cases like this, and rest assured or unrest assured, in real life it happens every now and again. And as you heard it earlier in the interview video, for the slow burn style, especially of the beginning, is well worth a read because of the research he's done and because of the interesting information about this whole dark world of organ harvesting. Now, with all this said and done, I keep this video really short, like this short, and I'll see you in the deep dive. Signing off now.